Welcome back, friends. The live stream for 2.3 and Persona 5X happened this morning. And honestly, for half of it, I was asleep because it was lacking. And then they turned the tides on us. And I'm going to talk about how they did that in just a little bit here. So stay tuned. I'm going to summarize this long event. It was like an hour and a half into just a few minutes. So let me just dive right through the notes. Like and sub for me, please. That helps out tremendously. And here we go. So first of all, 2.3 is bringing the next phase of the palace, so chapter 3. So we've got plenty of new gameplay to come, new bosses to fight. I'm not going to cover the spoilers on this. They did show kind of some spoilers via, their videos, whatever. Check out the stream if you want to see spoilers. But if we go forward, we go past that, we got into, of course, our newest character, which is going to be Mr. Mesa. Mesa is a physical damage dealer, and he also applies bleed effects. So basically, the percent of HP damage. And they did some pretty decent buffs with him. Let me see if I can find the slides here. And it creates an interesting conversation. So I want to highlight what was his original problem, and did they or did they not fix it? So his original problem was when he came out on the other servers, he did so much HP percentage damage that he was trivializing bosses. It's the easiest way I can sum it up. And so they added a mechanic that most bosses have, that reduces the amount of HP percentage based damage that they take. Effectively, it nerfed Mesa. So it was a direct counter to what he does, but they didn't put it on his character, they put it on the bosses. So it really kind of negates a lot of what he can do. And then his physical attacks basically could be done as well or better with a Ryuji if you had enough duplicates on him, which if you pull enough on standard banners, you might end up with a few duplicates. Not guaranteed, but there are ways to get Ryuji to be just a better Mesa, basically, without the bleeds. And so what they did is, here for the buffs, they did a just amazing damage increase on his highlight. So we're going up to a pretty much a 500% highlight attack, and I'm just picturing this with Cord and how much damage that can do. On the awarenesses, should you go for an awareness 1, which I don't necessarily think you should, but if you did, it does give a bit to the bleed damage, which helps offset some of the boss reduction, not all of it. They also added increased ailment accuracy to the 5-star. At awareness 0, they gave a slight bump up to the chance to inflict bleed, and then they gave really high value increases to skill 1 and skill 2 in Ripper mode. I'll do a separate should you pull video. I'm still digesting some of these numbers. I still think that he's better, absolutely better. I still don't know that he overcomes the root issue with the HP percentage effects coming down with bosses. So I don't know. I need to do a little bit more math. I would love to get my hands on him, honestly, to try it out. But I think right now my initial take is he's absolutely better. His physical modes are better. I still don't know that I would chase awarenesses to really make his bleeds better because there's just not a lot of context that's going to call to him. But a high awareness Ryuji is probably still fine. Like, I don't know that I would pull Mesa if I had like an A4 Ryuji or something like that. So that was the Mesa piece. Then they went through, they re-showed a bunch of stuff for Yui, basically just re-previewed her. I don't know, this felt like padding to me, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. We got into the fact that there's a new weapon. Basically, the new weapon is if you pull Mesa, get this weapon. It's his weapon for wonder. And then, let's see. They covered some badge things. I don't really care about that. We will have a new NPC story for Neko Takahashi. I'll let you guys discover that and get whatever rewards we get from that. But something that, up until this point, this is why I'm still asleep, and they didn't reveal the puppet synergy. This is originally something that came out before our current Kira synergy, and we just had assumed they flip-flopped their places, but for whatever reason, she's still not here. So I wonder if they're just holding that for perhaps a Futaba patch. I don't know. Obviously, it will be later. It just makes no sense to me why they haven't released her yet. So this is just like a little story, quest line, whatever you want to call it, within the cities. They had some badge stuff. I don't know. I don't really care about that. There's going to be some new songs, some new movies, and probably the most important feature of all, new gachapons in the gacha machines. So I'm all for these. I'm going to waste all sorts of yen getting these 2 collections done. So keep an eye out for wherever those pop up. Then we move out a little bit into some more rewards. We get login bonuses. This is all pretty standard stuff, but hey, you get some free pulls out of this. This one I love. this is when things start ramping up. So we will have, like we have always with the different stories, a whole bunch of missions to get things by completing the story chapter. But also you'll be able to get Kukulane, or however you say that, I'm sure somebody's going to correct me. You're going to get them fully duped out via this particular set of rewards. So pay attention to the missions. You get a fully maxed out Kukulane. And I mean, if nothing else, this is giving you more points for wonder for his skill tree. So definitely knock this one out on top of all the other rewards that you're going to get along the way. If you miss your chance here, he does go into where you can buy with the limited repression medals later, but get him for free while you can. Why wouldn't you? And then let's see, we come down. Mesa is going to have the same kind of structured store/event like we have currently for the summer units. But what's interesting I noticed here is there's no pulls. So I think the big win in here is going to be these fortune revelations, just getting more chances to get cards, never a terrible thing. And of course, some leveling mats to go with it. Looks like he and Sepia are going to be the synergy units to increase the amount of tickets you get to spend. So do take an eye out for that. I might just try to run Sepia unleveled with somebody that can just demolish these 3 stages since they're not going to be that hard. I'm curious what the boss will be like and how hard it's going to be without either of these two, but we'll see. We'll find out here very shortly in a day. And then we get into the big news. This is the biggest thing. We are getting the 110 banner. If you don't know what that is, basically instead of a 50-50 at 80 pulls, you go to 110 pulls and you're guaranteed the future unit. So there's no 50-50. What makes this incredible though, and why it took me so long to do this particular video, they upped the rate. This is insane, y'all. So in the other servers, it's 0.2%. And I did all the math earlier on. And the fact of the matter was, if this had come out like it is in the other servers with 0.2%, on raw math, you should not be using the 110 banner. Okay, that is what it was. Now it's 0.4%. So I spent all morning running scripts, doing scenarios. I did millions upon millions upon millions of test cases and a Monte Carlo simulation with this. And frankly, the two are so insanely close in their values for the amount of total 5 stars you get and the amount of featured 5 stars you get within a certain amount of pulls that the 110 is just the winner. On a pure technicality, there are scenarios in which if you've done enough pulls, you would get ever so slightly more standard units. So standard 5 stars, not the featured 5 stars, by using the 50-50. But when I talk about it's negligible, I mean it's less than 1. Like it's so minuscule that I'm actually flipping my tune from going on the 50-50 only to now I'm going to go on the 110 only. So it's incredible to me that this doubling of rates from 0.2 to 0.4 had such a dramatic impact. And like I said, I've spent my morning running scenarios on my computer. I've been hearing my CPU going crazy, my fans going crazy while I'm running these insane amounts of test cases. And I don't see the 50-50 value anymore. I guess if you really want to just get a bunch of random ones or something, I maybe in that situation. But because you get a 5 star, not a featured, but a 5 star every 165 pulls on the 110, and it does carry over. So keep that in mind. Let me see if they show it. Yeah, they show it here. You get a random standard 5 star, and that pool goes up and increases over time. You end up with more, or so damn close, it doesn't matter. So my recommendation, and this is based off of math, this is not based on emotions or anything else, is I think you should go for the targeted banner from this point forward. It comes out with Mesa. It will not be retroactive. Existing banners like your summer ones will not get this 110. But for Mesa and forward, this will be here. And I just mathematically cannot find a strong enough reason to go for 50-50, especially when I look at the long haul of the game. The numbers are just so close that I'm going to be guaranteeing myself at the 110. Now, I will say you still have a pretty strong probability of hitting 110 quite a bit, but overall, you're going to be doing better on the 110. So this was huge. This, like, my brain shifted significantly from being asleep to being in full math mode. This is incredible. So look forward to this. This comes with this next banner, so it's just right around the corner. Otherwise, they talked about some just generic things. They talked about how they're looking to get some endgame modes in sooner. That's going to be Astrolab. That's the other part of like the Mindscape stuff. And they talked a bit about Persona 3 on the Switch. And of course, they mentioned that there's a P3 crossover. We won't get it any earlier from what I can tell. So I don't expect P3 crossover units any sooner than after the anniversary unit. So, don't take that as we're getting it early. I'd love to be wrong. I don't see it happening though. So how do I rate this one? I think the first half of this live stream was a complete snooze fest, solid C at best, maybe C plus with some Mesa buffs. And then they turned the dime. They brought us what we all wanted, which is the 110, and they made it better. They buffed it in a super significant way. It's not a small buff, guys. And that turned this into possibly the best stream we've had. I just wish they would have brought Puppet and talked about the Lufel EX plan. Had they brought those, it would have been like insanity. But look forward to this. 2.3 patch is coming tonight. It will be live basically less than 24 hours from now. And y'all, until our next live stream, which will be the Mesa Pulls tomorrow, or our next video, please take care of yourselves.